everyone to look at this picture and take this in and really think hard on it. There may be over 5.25 trillion macro and micro pieces of plastic in our ocean, killing millions of marine animals and also polluting the air we breathe. I think this number is outrageous, and something must be done. Did you guys know that there's an area in the ocean called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? It's an area of garbage that's double the size of Texas and triple the size of France. It gets bigger and bigger every year. I think that's just crazy. As stated by Jenna Jamek from UNenvironment.org, we need to slow the flow of plastic at its source. But we also need to improve the way we manage our plastic waste, because right now, a lot of it ends up in the environment. Many of you use tons and tons of plastic on a daily basis and might not even realize it. According to an article titled Reducing Plastic Pollution, it states plastic is so integrated into our lifestyle, giving it up would mean taking away the things we rely on each day. 270 million metric tons of plastic are produced every year, and 8 million metric tons enter the ocean. You know that also means that we have microplastic in our table salt? Through science, we created a material that lasts forever, and then we throw it away to pollute our earth. Does that make any sense? Because now we are drowning in this stuff. 40% of plastic is used only once and then thrown away. We as humans are to blame for the pollutions of plastic around the world. We do it subliminally without even thinking about the problems we are causing. As captain of the recycling club in high school, I know the importance of recycling, and believe me when I tell you, it really makes a difference. In my high school, my team and I ventured to the Tri-State Community Recycling Center, and we saw the process it takes to break down recyclables and reuse them. It was there where I learned an important phrase I'm sure we all know: reduce, reuse, and recycle. During my time in the club, I learned the various types of cardboards, metals, and plastics that we recycle, and it turns out that plastic is the hardest to recycle. My group members and I have spent much time reviewing this subject, and with the research we have found, we hope to enlighten you that this is an uprising epidemic, and it will most definitely negatively affect our future to come. So we are here today to tell you that everyone should consider cutting down their use of plastic due to the harsh effects it has on the environment and humanity. In the world we live in today, the use of plastic has dramatically risen. Most containers, bottles, and straws are made from plastics. And we continuously use and abuse them without taking into consideration the damage we are doing to our earth. Humans are to blame for the amount of plastic we find in our oceans and the amount of litter we see on the streets as we walk down the streets. In the recent years, plastic usage has risen to an all-time high, leaving islands of trash and pollution flowing in our ocean. This is something we need to change if we intend to live on this planet any longer. Today we will be discussing how plastic is hazardous for our environment, our solution, as well as the benefits of this solution if adopted, and what you can do today to help solve the global crisis.
I stated earlier, there is a saying from elementary school most of us have already heard, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. The 3 R's. The 3 R's stand for reduce the amount of plastic and pollutants you use in your everyday life, reuse any plastic, any containers you use more than just once, and recycle any substance you plan on just throwing away. According to a Helen Lands, who wrote articles on recycling for children, recycling addresses the fact that most of what humans discard can be reused and or reduced. This is important to remember since pollutants are covering more and more of our planet every day, including things like plastic and other man-made materials. According to an article titled Landfill on Seas, they state we sit on it, wash in it, eat from it, drink from it, look through it, and play with it. It is most likely residing inside of us today. Plastic is everywhere. According to the slides, we see 3 examples of how much plastic and pollutants we have in our world today. In shipping docks, in the ocean, even on our beaches. Now, take into consideration that plastic truly is everywhere. That's terrifying to me, since it means that We can never truly clean our planet made up of all this plastic and pollutants. The only way we can start is if we start in the household. We can start to reuse or reduce the plastic amount, and hopefully within the upcoming years, we can see a slightly impactful solution. According to Independent World newspaper, it is thought that the sea now contains 51 trillion microplastic particles, and then later on claims that that is 500 times more stars than in our own galaxy. Which means that even though we believe we are doing a change, it cannot truly happen until everyone steps up and begins to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Then we will begin to start less infecting our world. The amount of pollutants in the ocean has begun to affect our marine life and our wildlife. We eat fish and other animals on a daily basis, and they pass on these pollutants into us, particles of plastic, from one to another. And now that we've gone over these quotes and how this is a huge crisis in the world today, can you still tell me that the use on plastic and pollutants truly still isn't a problem? Plastic, over many years, may disintegrate, but there are still microplastic particles floating around in our waters and in our air today for even a longer period of time. According to the National Geographic Society, if pilgrims simply toss plastic over the side of their boats, those bits may still be floating in the ocean today. The era of the pilgrims was roughly 400 years ago, give or take. And to think that plastic could still be floating around our oceans today is shocking. Recycling starts within your household. Only then can you really address the problem. And although it may seem that you're not doing any impact or little to it at all, if you begin with your city and move on from there, we will see a better tomorrow. If we continue on the path of recycling, our grandchildren and their children to come will have a better earth to live on. Now, I'd like to offer some steps and solutions, if adopted, in order to help our planet become a better place.
We have a variety of solutions to help with this problem. Our plan to reduce the amount of plastic used by an individual is to encourage one to use metal reusable straws. These can be purchased on Amazon for about $10 a packet, and there are also portable straws, as in this picture. They can hook onto your keys, they can also hook onto your purse for convenience, and you can also leave them inside your car. Another way is to purchase a personal water bottle at your local Walmart or Target. By doing so, you would reduce the plastic bottle use, save money by not having to buy a plastic water bottle at a vending machine or having to go to the store to buy packages or an individual water bottle. At family events, everybody hates doing the dishes. We know that everybody likes to use plastic plates, plastic utensils, plastic cups. Even these come in plastic containers. You can help replace those with biodegradable plates and utensils and natural materials. They may not be available at your local dollar store, but if you go the extra mile to Walmart, these will save thousands of animals' lives. Another way of reducing plastic is by recycling plastic. Our homes are filled with many plastic items, as in this picture down here, like shampoo and conditioner bottles, hand soaps, milk jugs, mayo jars, Tupperware. All of these things eventually get thrown away into a regular trash bin. What you can do is put these items in a recycling bin or that green trash bin that sits outside your house that you probably never use. Well, use it. It's simple, and it makes our environment a lot cleaner. When going to the grocery store, encourage your parents, encourage yourself to take plastic reusable bags. And when walking around campus or walking around anywhere, if you see plastic on the ground, make the effort and pick it up. Our last solution to reducing and recycling plastic is to recycle plastic bottles and metal cans. This can be beneficial monetary-wise. By collecting bottles, you can turn them into a recycling center and get money for it. In an article titled "Proposed Bans on Plastic Straws into resistance, it states, experts say cutting down on single-use plastic may be more about changing habits than changing laws. At the end of the day, it's about changing our own individual habits. Only then can we begin a worldwide change. Our different ideas for our plan will work because it is cost efficient by buying our own water bottles and our own straws and not having to spend money every time to do so. Our plan with recycling plastics within your own household and by using a green bin keeps our environment cleaner and helps individuals be more aware of plastic within their home. And lastly, there is a monetary fee for individuals who recycle cans and plastic bottles. These are all effective ways on how we can keep our planet and oceans clean and plastic free. Now that I have gone over and discussed the various solutions to the problem, we will now move on to the results of recycling and how it can benefit us all.
Some of the most important results that can be seen with recycling more can be in how much more we can save our resources and how much more our environment can be saved. Landfill space is not infinite, and the conditions in these landfills are not ideal for the decomposition of plastic. According to the article, The Effect of Recycling Plastic Water Bottles on the Environment, it states that these conditions in landfills make it practically impossible for anything, especially plastic, to biodegrade. If we were to recycle more, landfills would no longer be overwhelmed with all of our waste, and especially this plastic that cannot be decomposed. Also, plastic production emits a ton of greenhouse gases. Meanwhile, recycling emits significant amount less in greenhouse gases and uses a lot less energy than it takes to create plastic. So creating plastic takes a lot more energy than recycling it. Recycling, rather than throwing away our plastics, would in turn reduce our air pollution and would cut down on the harmful toxic pollutants that are affecting our environment, our wildlife, and us today. So some benefits we can see as individuals would be both saving and gaining money while simultaneously cleaning our environment for us and for our wildlife. One can save a huge amount of money through buying reusable products rather than plastic products. As said before in the speech, a better alternative to plastic water bottles would be to buy your own metal or tin reusable water bottle. This would be better because you would save tons of money through not having to continuously buy plastic water bottles that you just throw away after one use. As seen with the picture, a reusable water bottle could cost maybe less than $20, and that's where it would stay. That's what the price would be. Meanwhile, a reusable plastic water bottle, would continuously gain more and more money that you are spending. Another alternative would be to use reusable straws rather than single-use plastic straws. Now, I know that in most places, plastic straws do not cost anything, but in the future, they could possibly be added into the final bill at a restaurant, just like bags are typically 10 cents now. One can also gain a lot of money through recycling their aluminum cans and turning them in at a local recycling center. According to the iScrap app, 1 pound of aluminum cans is 37 cents. And the process is very simple to get this money. One just needs to crush every single aluminum can they use, gather them over several weeks, and finally turn them in for profit. And you can repeat this process every month for some extra cash. When looking at the consequences of not recycling, one may not see immediate consequences that are affecting them right now. But plastic will eventually cause many species to go extinct, including us. Landfills are becoming way too massive and overcrowded. This is leaving us with no options in where to discard our waste, and this could cause one day for the earth to become one big garbage dump. And maybe even in the far future, the problem could become so bad that the earth could no longer be habitable. If this problem is not addressed, also marine animals will continue to be caught in abandoned fish nets and be choked by abandoned six-pack rings. And looking even deeper, marine animals will continue to suffer on the inside when ingesting these harmful microplastic toxins. Ultimately, this will lead to us humans ingesting these microplastic toxins and suffering the same fate as the animals that we have hurt. Now that we have discussed the benefits to our plan and the consequences of not following it, we will now wrap up our speech.
In sum, reducing and recycling plastics impacts more than we know. It impacts our own health as well as the life to millions of marine life animals, just simply because we throw out plastics in trash cans instead of recycling bins just out of convenience. The tons of plastic that collects over the years is hazardous for environment as the pollutants from hundreds of years ago still remains in our oceans today. Everyone should consider cutting down the use of plastics as it is harsh effects on the environment and humanity. It is important to recycle as it harms human health, it harms wildlife, as well as ocean life due to the absent-minded ignorance of humans due to not recycling. This is a worldwide issue that we are still currently facing today and can be resolved and hopefully diminished by our simple acts of recycling. This can be done through using reusable water bottles or any reusable products such as reusable bags at the store. And these simple acts can, in the long run, help us diminish the use of plastic use over time. This tons of plastic that collects over time still remains in the ocean and pollutes the air due to the toxic chemicals that these plastics contain. We challenge you all to recycle whenever you can and be aware of your plastic use. And that, remember, when you ask for a straw at Starbucks or purchase a plastic cup, that you are, in the long run, contributing to the extermination of animal life and human health if not discarded properly. We all have awareness of recycling, but to many of us, it has become a habit to not recycle, and we throw out plastic in our trash bins just out of convenience. Here is how you can start recycling today. Elite Recycling Services, as shown in the picture, is located not too far from Ohlone Newark campus. It's just 2.5 miles from here actually, and this recycling center serves for our recycling needs. Small actions such as drinking from reusable water bottles would greatly reduce the amount of plastic bottles used each year. There are also hydration centers as pictured to remind us that we should be refilling our reusable water bottles, and these are conveniently located around Newark campus. Many cafeterias and public areas, such as even on campus, have conveniently located recycling bins as well. The Ohlone Sustainability Club is actually currently having a reusable straw sale, so if you're interested in purchasing one, you can find them at the Newark lobby. Being mindful of our daily plastic use through small actions such as these will help us realize how much we contribute to environment pollution. This could in turn help us be more conscious of our own waste and help us reduce it. Ever wonder what happens to all the plastic that collects over the years? According to an article by Parker, 448 tons of plastic produced a year is disposable. So imagine how much plastic we could recycle if we were to recycle a majority of this plastic. This same disposable plastic you throw out today might not affect our lifetime, but it will definitely affect the lifetime of your children's, your grandchildren's, and future generations' lives for the worse. Thank you.